Hey, welcome to Grandma's Wealth Wisdom Live. I think we did not show up last week because we were roaming the town. It was our 15-year anniversary. We were roaming the town of Cincinnati, walking around. I think I got over 18,000 steps that day.
Urban hiking. That's a
Yeah,
hobby of ours, urban hiking.
yeah, it was lots of fun. So anyway, welcome to Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, where we help you break through to a smart, stable financial future. And we're talking today a lot about business because we do that a lot here. And the title was really interesting. Reasons you're scared to increase profits in your business. Now, I know everybody is here if they're joining later, and if you do join later, hit that like button, all that stuff. Um, but you probably would say, "I'm not scared of making profits. I'm not scared of growing my business. I actually want to grow my business and make it really, really big. However, I know that subconsciously, because I know us, there's things that stop us, right? Would you say that's correct, Amanda?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So today we're going to talk about some subconscious things that cause us to not want to make profit and how we self sabotage or keep doing that over and over again. And then maybe we blame somebody else because the business isn't growing, but maybe it's our own thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think even sometimes people are conscious of their fears, and that's great too. Like, often can admit it, but they're just not sure how to overcome it. So, we want to absolutely like name those fears, help bring them to mind, but also share a little bit about how to overcome them as well. Um, and this, even if you feel like, okay, I don't want to grow my business right now, or I don't think I could, maybe it's still the lingering impacts of the pandemic or something like that, this could still be really valuable content for the future of your business, right? Like, where it's going. um, I've heard it said that if your business isn't growing, it's dying, almost like a plant, right? And if your business doesn't have profit, like, we call that the lifeblood of your business. If you don't have profit, if you don't,
Yeah.
creating new blood, then you're eventually not going to be around very much longer, right? So that's why this conversation is really important, to look at those fears, to address them, and to think about, like, it's not just for increasing profit's sake, but it's really like how to make sure your business is not shrinking, right? Because it would shrink. If it shrinks forever, it's eventually gone. But
Hmm.
how to make sure that it's healthy and thriving. And a healthy, thriving business is profitable as well.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, this whole idea of profit first and having that good money system in place is really, really important. I see so many people who, business owners, who are like struggling. They're on that hamster wheel over and over again. They're not even paying themselves. And so having those systems in place really then help you to grow the system, but you got to take care of yourself. And again, that's speaking from experience.
Yeah. So should we jump into these 10 things we've got? I know 10's a big number, but there are a lot of fears.
Yeah.
Should we jump in and start naming them and talking about how to overcome them?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to put the title in here. I should totally use the whole like system that we have um, to um, add that, right? Don't you think?
Sure.
Um, and I keep forgetting to do that. But so, really, what we're going to be doing is, we're talking about reasons you're scared to increase profits. Reasons you're scared to increase profits. So we're going to go through 10 reasons that you as a business owner may be scared to increase profits and how to avoid them.
Yeah. So number one, I don't know if you want to put these on the screen too as we're talking about them, Brandon. So if people want to fast forward through and find one that you want to listen to, you could totally do that.
And
If you're
this
catching
is
the
kind of
replay.
like I feel like I'm doing David Letterman or something.
Yeah.
Um,
These are in no particular order, by the way. Just okay. So number one is needing to hire. If you have increased profits, that means you often have more business and you need to hire. And especially right now, as we're recording this in July 2021, hiring is weird.
right.
We're in the place in America, at least, where there there are lots of people supposedly looking for jobs, and there are lots of employers who are saying they can't fill vacant positions, and that should never be true according to economic theory. We're in a time when the theory is out the window. We're experiencing something that goes against typical economic theory. And so that might be a reason you don't want your business to grow right now. You don't want more profits because that means you probably need to hire people to help fulfill on those sales to do that kind of thing. Anything you'd add to that, Brandon? Bless you, by the way.
Oh, thanks. So I think this was one of my big things that I thought about in our current business. So we had a business, we had a staff of 8 or so, and I remember hiring a person that literally almost put me in the hospital. They actually did put me in the
We had
hospital.
to go to the emergency room. Yeah.
So after that, I said, I will never be in that situation again. The best way to deal with that is to never have staff again, never to be in that place where I have to deal with that. And that was a thing that I was like, oh, okay, we're not going to do that. We are going to do everything we can to not have that another person. But then as we've grown this business, we just know that we cannot do more without more help. And maybe because of that fear, we might have been further along by now. I don't know. But that fear of needing to hire or not wanting to hire, not having that responsibility of somebody else's life, like they're dependent on my work. That's kind of scary. And knowing that everything I do makes a big difference. So that is my thoughts on that. So I think
Yeah.
break
Well,
free of that. Like,
yeah, let's talk
hey,
about how to overcome that fear. So, a couple of things you can do is like write a job description, have a really good like plan for hiring, maybe even contract out the hiring process. There are firms out there that will do the interviews and the screenings and stuff like that for you. Um, that very common kind of knowledge there to make hiring a little easier. But one like profit first kind of hack that we love is this idea of you start like if you're thinking about hiring, you start setting aside the salary or the pay that you would
mhm.
need for that new hire. And you do that for a couple months, a few months, maybe even a whole quarter. And then you use those funds to hire, and you're always ahead of the game in terms of having the money to pay that person. Because often, and lots of businesses, when you hire someone, there's some training that goes in. Your revenue might go down temporarily before then that hire helps it grow again. So having that kind of cushion where you know, like I've got this for 3 months, that should get them fully on board and see like the results, right? Or maybe you're in a business where it needs to be 6 months, or maybe it's just a month in your business, whatever it is, right? You know your business
Yep.
better than anybody. But having that kind of cushion before hiring might help reduce that fear of needing to hire because you increase profits.
Yeah. And I think that's by also planning ahead, then it feels better when it is time to hire. And so
Yep.
you're kind of pre-planning. So because you will go, it's kind of like that 2 steps backwards or 1 step backwards to go 3 steps forwards or something
Yeah.
like that.
Which is actually a great segue into the second fear we wanted to talk about. If you want to put that one on the screen now, Brandon, this idea like if your business isn't broke, Like, why fix it? Why grow? It's working fine now. You're comfortable. And change can be really uncomfortable. To grow a business is kind of awkward during that transition phase. And Brandon put like my notes in here too. I meant to just put if it ain't broke. Um, uh, so, um, like, and this is often a fixed
Right.
mindset. I don't
I could fix it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
um, like why grow if everything is working well? The revenue that you have, the profit that you have, if that's paying all your bills, you know, why grow? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's providing for all your needs, why rock the boat? Why,
Yeah.
change things? That so, kind of a fear of change, a fear of that awkward transition, a fear of maybe breaking it because you're trying to grow it. What would you say about that fear, Brandon?
Well, I think that you have to also know what you want. So there's a lot of people that maybe they say they want a growing business and they want to grow this whole empire to 5 million or whatever they say, but they really want it to be a small 3-person firm, right? They're okay with that. So that's if that's what you want, that's the way to go for it. But
Yeah,
know that that's what you want, and as you build, it's gonna break. The things that used to work for a small you doing it is gonna not work for 3 to 5 people, and it's not gonna work for 10 people. Systems have to be built and all of that, and so knowing where you feel good or feel not maybe not good, where you want to be is a real important thing. And then if you want to go forward, know you're going to break some things.
yeah. And that's kind of the moral of entrepreneurship. That you have to break things. Like if you don't have success unless you have some failure, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's also the idea, like we were talking about before, that even if you think I can just maintain status quo, everything's comfortable. I like where we are. I don't want to grow. You are going to lose a client at some point. There's going to be an industry change. You're going to lose sales, something like that. So if you want it to even just stay the same, be that 3-person firm that rocks it and, is amazing, or, be that small company, you still have to be thinking with kind of a growth mindset, with an increased
Yep.
profit mindset, because
Yep.
there will be some kind of shift that ultimately happens. The only constant is change. So you've got to kind of be ahead of that and thinking, well, where is my next customer going to come from? Where is my next, sale going to come from? Something like that. So because maybe the way to summarize this is, if it ain't broke, it probably will be broken soon, right? Like
Yep.
something external to you that you have no control over is going to change, and your business needs to be ready to change with it, or in accordance.
Well, you think about that with Blockbuster, they were huge.
Right.
Think about all kinds of companies that did not change. And you want to make sure that you are knowing that something's broken and fix it. And then something that may have been a fix before is now the problem. And
Yeah.
so having a good pulse in your business is really important. And that, again, having humility in your business and teachability is going to stop you. And if you aren't sensing that, maybe you are in that place where you are, again, at that place of saying, there's I'm hindering the profits in my business, not everybody else.
Yeah. And actually, the way I was going to say to overcome this fear of, well, if it ain't broke, like why change anything, is to kind of almost embrace the fear, go into it, really maybe even go to what might seem like a dark place, where you think of all the things that could go wrong, all the things
Mhm.
that could break that are outside of your control, and then ask yourself, so what could I do? What is within my power that will help mitigate this risk, protect me from it in some way, reduce its impact on me, and then start implementing those and see if it makes your business more profitable. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe not in the short term, but for sure, likely in the long term.
And I just read the book, The Road Less Stupid. Really good book. And what he says is don't anticipate the best case scenario. Build your business with the worst case scenario in mind, not the best case scenario. Because everybody wants the best case, but if you can anticipate the worst, then you're going to be in a lot better place. And so, planning for the worst
Yep.
is unfortunately that's part of insurance. So,
Yep.
and if you can read that book, it's a good book.
Um, okay, next one. Next big fear that a lot of business owners have as to why they don't want to increase their profits is the tax man. Dun dun dun. I can't believe how many people I've heard say, "Well, if I make more money, I'm going to have to pay more taxes." Or, "Well, if I
That's
make more money, that's just going to increase the likelihood that I get an audit." And um okay, maybe, that's a legitimate fear. I don't want to like be judgmental or, put anybody's fears down, but the taxman doesn't take all the profits, right? They just
true.
take a portion of it. And like, I don't know, if you're not doing anything shady, why should you be scared of an audit? Right? Like if you're above board, um, or even if they find something that you didn't do 100% correct, it's not like it should put you out of business, right? If your intentions were there and that kind of thing. Of course, maybe a tax professional would correct me on that and say that audits are very scary things, but from my understanding, they're not as much if you've been, keeping receipts or tracking things and not mixing business and personal and, stuff like that. So in
Well,
some ways,
that's where the CFO role, and in your business, you need to have that in place, so that way you're not worried. I mean, if you're doing all kinds of shady business, then and trying to avoid taxes, um, that's that's a that's illegal.
yeah,
So
yeah. So don't do that. And you should have no fear of the tax man. That's how to overcome the fear. Do, comply with the law. Know that even when you make more money, not all of it's going to go away. Maybe only a portion's going to go to the tax man. And I'd rather, make $100,000 and give 22,000 of it to the Internal Revenue Service than not make anything.
yeah, and I think that's again, don't what somebody says. Don't let the tax tail wave the dog. Um, as a business owner, we can control, or we should try to control as much income that can come in, and then your tax person should help you not pay as much as you. But your goal is to make as much money as you can, so you have a bigger tax bill. That's
Right.
my opinion, and
Yep.
their job is to try and not have as much there that you have to pay out to Uncle Sam.
Yep. Okay. The next one, kind of related, not going to seem like it's related at first, but the competition. I don't know. Lots of business owners are afraid if they do well, if their sales increase, the competition is going to just come after them even more. That they're going to start getting knocked off. People are going to start stealing their stuff. Maybe, somebody will do some kind of public relations campaign against them, or, all the things that come with, competitive economic, theory, right? Like that your competition will compete. And that can be a big fear for some people. I'm not going to grow because I don't want that other business that does what I do to come after me.
Yeah, you want to keep playing small, and you don't want to grow because you don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, if the big guys start taking notice, it gets scary. But then I mean, that's the fun of it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I think a way to overcome that fear is to think, well, if they are coming after me, if the competition is scared, like at least I'm making an impact, right? Like at least something's changing in the industry. And there's probably you didn't just get into business to make money. There's some kind of difference you want to make in the world that only like you're going to make. That it's not what your competition wants to do. And I wouldn't that difference, like keeping that in mind, that positive thing that you want to see happen, the problem that your business solves, you shouldn't let competition get in the way of that in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, as you increase your profits, you're hopefully seeing more and more of those problems being solved, and keep focused on that and forget about the competition. Your only competition is you yesterday, like they say, right?
Yeah.
When you compare is when you get discouraged and fearful. But when you set yourself on improving your business day after day, that's when you get hope and encouragement and confidence and making that happen. So just shift that mindset from being afraid of the competition to thinking there is no competition. I just want to be better than I was yesterday.
When I think about it here with and us doing the financial sector, and people will say, well, the market or Wall Street or this kind of thing. And, and there's people want conflict. People want that, and they want us to find the enemy. And really, um, they're not the enemy, right? It's not that um, they can work in tandem. There's all this kind of stuff that happens as we kind of look at what's the benefits in each piece, and not trying to put each other down or put that person down or put that thing down, but yet say, okay, it has its place. This has its place. How do we come together? But at the same time, knowing that competition is going to help you build the edge. If you don't realize there's something happening, but then you're going to be again like Blockbuster and not
Right.
around anymore, and the competition is going to eventually, you gotta kind of keep your ear to the ground a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Shifting. These should not be competitors. These should be the people on your team, your employees. A lot of people are afraid to grow because that means maybe there's more work for your team. Then you have to pay them more, or they're going to leave because they get too stressed, or just all those things. That are not related to hiring, but about retaining employees, making sure that they're doing a good job. Are they going to be able to handle the growth of the business? How are they going to feel as that maybe the team expands and you hire people? How does that change the dynamic? That can be a pretty fearful thing when it
Yeah.
comes to why we don't want to grow our businesses. What would you say about that, Brandon?
Well, I think some is as you have employees and you're the pace setter, sometimes it's hard to keep the culture. Or as you're growing the business, maybe that person worked out in the beginning years. They worked for that particular role, and not as you grow. And I feel like that's happened a couple times. And being okay as a business owner to have those hard conversations. Maybe we don't hire or have employees because we don't like conflict. And the reality is, when you have people of anything, you're going to have some sort of conflict or problem. And our goal as a business is to provide solutions. And if the employees are causing problems and not solutions, hence why we did fire a couple times, then they're not good for your culture, maybe. And so maybe you're fearful of that, but as you have employees, you can do a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that point you said, Brandon, about maybe the fear is that the person that is really amazing for your team will leave because they don't like how the business has changed, and that can be a big deal because you've probably become friends with them, right? Especially if they've been with your company for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way to overcome that fear is through what we call rule number one of our former business, when we've had roommates, in our marriage, in our current business. Rule number one is communicate, communicate, communicate. Letting your team in, your current employees in on your plans to grow, your plans to suck less tomorrow than you do today. Like we told our staff one year, right? Like um the plans to grow, and say, well, how do you want to use this opportunity as a way to grow yourself? Like, what
Mhm.
new skills do you want to learn? How do you want to build? Even if like you leave and go do something else, what do you want to learn before you leave, right? And I think I heard this from Warren Buffett. It could have been, no, it wasn't Warren Buffett. It was somebody else. They said, it was somebody like that though, like some big business person. They said they'd rather like train employees really well and have them leave
Yep.
because they don't want an employee to stay that hasn't been trained well, right? And I would want, kind of in the same vein, my employees to continue to grow, to continue to learn, to have that kind of growth mindset, even if they leave, because they're going to be a better employee while they're there, right? And to have those kinds of conversations, how you looking to grow? What do you want to use this? As we increase profit, how do you want to use that as a way to develop your own career or develop personally? I think that's a great way to overcome that fear together and to include the employees in that growth plan.
Yep. And again, it's going to change. Your staff might change. Sometimes you might have them for 30 years. Sometimes you have them for a year. But I like the fact that I have somebody around there helping grow our business, our what we've created, our child almost. And I'm building relationships, and I don't know how it's going to go. Like, I have the staff from the coffee shop days that I don't know what it did for them, but I know that it was good for them at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next one are the friends. And this is particularly if you are currently having lots of nice friend time. They get, whether it's texting, going out to eat,
Yeah.
having fun together, whatever it is. If your business is growing, there might be a time when you don't get to spend as much time with them, and you don't get to go have those dinners on Friday nights, or they send a text message and it takes you a few hours to respond rather than a few minutes. Because you're going to be focused on what it takes to grow your business, and your friends might get mad. They might even get jealous if they see you making more money. Who wants to make your friends jealous of you, right? Like, oh, they can actually buy the nice glass of wine instead of the cheap beer on sale when we go out to eat, on the rare occasion that I actually see them now, right? Like, that's what we think our friends might think if we grow our businesses. They might get mad, they might get jealous, all of those kind of things. That's a legitimate fear. I could see that, right?
Well, and I go back to thinking, what was it on EO Fire podcast? You're the 5 people you spend
You're
the
the
most time with,
average. Yeah.
average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And sometimes, if you want to grow in your business and you want profit to happen in that way, then you want to look around and say, okay, what are the people around me that I spend the most time with? What are they doing? And if you really, again, this is being honest with yourself, if you really want certain things in your life, then those people should help you be a part of that solution and not be a hindrance. If they're a hindrance, then maybe you need to get new friends.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with it. Is your friends should want you to have a successful business, whatever that success means to you. They might even be some of your customers or give you connections with people that help you grow. And if temporarily that means they don't get to talk to you as much, they should be totally cool with it, right? If they're, so needy or self-absorbed that they put you down when you're growing your business, then maybe you need new friends. But also, more likely, that fear that your friends are going to be mad or jealous is you putting thoughts into their heads, right? If they're your friends, they're obviously going to support you. And if they don't, right, maybe they're not really your friends. But like, that's where communicate, like, say, hey, this next few months, I'm going to be growing my business and be focused a little bit more. So I might be able to, hang out with you once a month rather than once a week, or, I might be slower to, text you back or whatever. And to like, if you actually say that out loud rather than just like pretending like they're going to be mad or jealous if you say that, right? they'll probably be like super supportive back, right? They'll be like, yeah, totally understand. How can I help actually? And if we don't get to hang out but once a month, how could I like come into your business once a week and instead of hanging out, let me help you grow? Or,
Yeah.
like that's what friends do. And that could be like you often the fear is what you're putting into their heads rather than sharing with them and allowing them to respond how they want to. Right?
Yeah. But and I think again another part of all of this is time management. Sometimes and we'll look again with our finances. You'll see what you value
Same
by
with your time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you do the same with your time. And if you're spending money on wine and hanging out, going to the movies with them as opposed to your business growth, if that's what you really, if you say that's what you want, well, you have to be real with yourself.
Yeah. Okay, next one, family. And there's a lot of this family stuff could also be with like the friend stuff. They might not like that you don't spend as much time with them. But what I want to focus on here is that, well, why make more profit? My family's just going to spend it all. My spouse is just going to go and buy, fancier clothes, or, my children are just going to like blow it all on the next trip, vacation or whatever. Why increase my profits? My family's just going to spend it all.
Are you asking me? I want
No,
you to
I'm
make
just saying, like, that's a
more
fear.
profit.
What would you say
So,
about that fear, Brandon?
I mean, I want you to make more profit so I can go spend it all.
No.
Uh, no, I think it is. Again, it's one of those things of um, there is a fear of that, and with that idea of those things that we like become necessity as you grow the business, and so being humble, also realizing that, oh man, Joey changed because he got big with his business. Like knowing who you are as a person and how family really is, it's like more of a character thing than the money thing. And it's just profits, money is just going to be a bigger showing of who you really are. If you're a giver, it's going to show that. If you're not, it's going to show that.
Oh, you're getting ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I was just saying, like with family, I think that's they should want success, but then at the same time, again, time management. That make sure that your business, if you want it, if you're going to grow the business and be all there, make sure you prioritize or have family uh, in place, right? That
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
having date night, having those things.
Right. It doesn't, unlike your friends, you can't really take time away from your family as much. You want to spend time with family, hopefully, right? So maybe to increase your profits, you have to think of a way to work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that can help overcome the fear of not spending time with family because you're growing your business. Is like, well, no, I'm going to stick with the same hours. I'm going to think creatively about how to grow my business even while controlling my work time to the set of hours or whatever.
Yep.
And then
Exactly.
Brandon started getting into the next fear I wanted to talk about, kind of the stereotypes of wealth. Sometimes people are afraid to make more money because they're afraid of who they'll become. And I think Brandon already let the cat out of the bag. Like, you're just going to become more of who you already are. So if you've done that inner work, that mental, that psychological, that emotional work to become
Yep.
a healthy individual, money is just going to help you become healthier and healthier and have that emotional intelligence, those kind of things. So I think that's a legitimate fear, but because you're already thinking of that fear, you're likely not going to have money corrupt you, right? Because you're already thinking like, that you don't want to be corrupted by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think again, sometimes we look at, oh, that rich person, they're avoiding taxes, they're doing this or that. And so we don't want to be that. So we try not to grow the business. Taxes go into the way, or friends and family, or all those other things kind of go in, and we're justifying and saying, well, this is why I don't want to be at this level because mainly there's more of a stereotype or self-sabotage.
Yep. Then the next one, a fear of overextending yourself. Often, people have this kind of unsaid equation that if you want more money, you have to work more.
Yep.
And that working hard is how you get money. And we're often taught that as children from our parents. And a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, independent contractors, all those things are already super close to burnout, especially with the last year and the pandemic and everything. Like, why try to increase my profits? That's just going to probably put me over the edge and totally burn me out. And I think there's some legitimate fear there. You do want to make sure you're practicing self-care. But I also want to tear down that myth that work equals money and that you only get more money by working harder. That's not true. It's absolutely not true.
Yeah. Well, and I think another thing is adding processes into your business that are, like, again, we have a CRM that have emails and all of that we put in that help us to do the job without as much effort, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
that's one thing to think about. Like, how are we creating margin or having having staff? Maybe by having a staff person, it might create other challenges, right? But then you're able to have more time to yourself or
Yeah,
to
take
your
some things
family
off
or
your
whatever.
plate.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. And then finally, uh, the top reason you're scared to increase profits is because it's going to require an influx of cash you don't have. And in order to increase those profits, you're going to have to go into debt. You don't know if it's going to pay off, right? It
Yeah.
feels like a big risk. Are you going to be able to pay back that debt? In the meantime, you're paying interest. You don't really want to do that. And or if you have cash in the bank and you put it, toward that effort to grow your business that it doesn't pan out, there goes the money you just spent.
Yeah.
That's a fear. I think I definitely have that fear, even when we have the money to put towards growth. What if it doesn't work out? We just wasted a bunch of money.
Yeah. And I think that here's the thing in business, and in general, there will be times that you waste a bunch of money. You just want to be kind of, as you grow your business, there's that risk factor, and there is the I hit it and it didn't, and it went out of the park because I know what I'm doing. And there's sometimes that you don't know, you think you know what you're doing or something, and it doesn't work. And being okay with that, and again, you look at some of those really big businesses that have grown and kept growing. Bet you that they didn't hit home runs every time, and they probably spent money that did not go where they were hoping it would. But at the same time, knowing your numbers, knowing metrics around that is going to help you make those decisions and be able to
Yeah.
call it quits if it's not working.
Yeah, well, and that's where I wanted to jump in. This is actually one of the biggest benefits of the profit first concept developed by Mike Michalowicz, and part of why Brandon and I became profit first professionals is because, so with profit first, you follow, if you're not familiar, you follow like a percentage model. You put X percent toward profit, X percent towards owners compensation, X percent aside for taxes, and then X percent aside for operating expenses. And often, increases your profits right away because most people don't even take their profit first, right? But over time, when you're running a lean business, you figured out how to operate with the profit first system.
Yep.
What I've often seen is that people are spending less than what they have in operating expenses. They're not spending 100% of their operating expenses every single month, right?
Yep.
And you're going to see some cash build up there. And that has given me, and I hope it can for others too, the freedom to then say, okay, I'm going to take that extra OPEX that I haven't spent because I've been amazing at my business and I'm not overspending. And and put that into this growth idea. I'm going to, hire that firm to help me put in some automation, or I'm going to spend on this marketing idea that I don't know will work, or whatever it is to increase my profits long term. And because it's already there in my OPEX, I was supposed to spend it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not as concerned about if it fails or doesn't, work. But I can also do my due diligence and interview multiple firms before choosing one, like all those kind of things, have the plan in place because then it's more likely to succeed, all those kind of things. But because I have the cash ready, I'm a little less fearful of losing it or it not working out.
Yep. I think that's good. I think, again, check out this book by Mike Michalowicz, Profit First, if you haven't. He has another book called Fix This Next. That's another good one. And really, it's on all of us, right? If you're saying that this is causing me to not increase profits, or that is not increasing me, oftentimes it's internal, not external. And so that's why we wanted to create this video and help you guys to think through, is it me or is it them, right? And it's sad to say, it's usually us.
Yep. Yep.
So,
well, there you go. There's reasons that you're scared to increase profits and how to overcome them. Remember, it's not just about increasing profits for increasing profit's sake. It's about that difference that you want to make in the world for yourself, for those you care about close to you, as well as that problem that you're solving with your business that will help make the world a better place as that problem is solved. So keep figuring out how to overcome those fears, how to make your business smart and stable. Even if it doesn't grow by 10x every year, but at least is keeping pace with what you desire for your business and how it can grow. More power to you.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next week and have a great one. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.